Welcome to Made in Spain, the show that takes you past the postcards.
We're two friends who live here and can't stop pulling at the threads that makes this country tick.
I'm Nalini.
And I'm Laura.
And every week we go past the flamenco cliches and the usual tourist maps, traps, etc.
into the food, the design, the festivals, and the people who make this place absolutely unforgettable.
One story, one flavor.
One episode at a time.
So pour yourself something good and
come with us.
Yeah, come along with us for the journey.
Awesome.
All right. So, Laura, today we are doing a deep dive into Spanish food.
And today's episode is actually called Spanish Food Beyond Tapas.
Beyond Tapas. But I would say that if you were, if you're an outsider and you think about Spanish food, the first thing that would come up is paella. And we're not talking about that today, even though it is an institution. We're going to gloss over that because we have covered it before. We're talking about, the little snacks that I think this country is very famous for. Now, I'm going to give you a little history of how tapas came to be.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if any of these stories hold water, so this is just the research that I've done. Do you know the history of tapas, how it's, come into fruition and part of the social fabric of this country?
I don't actually. I have what I think would be the reasoning from other research, other things that we've done, but I don't know the specific history of tapas. So I'm actually really looking forward to hearing about this.
Okay, so the story goes that I think in the 13th century, the king was visiting Cadiz.
Okay.
And ordered a sherry in an inn. And apparently when the waiter was bringing this glass of said sherry to said king at the time, a gust of wind blew in and he quickly took a piece of jamón serrano and put it over his glass to cover it from dust.
Okay, that's an interesting choice to cover up a glass.
That it was just there and he grabbed it to cover the king's glass. And, the king thought, oh, why would you do that? And the waiter said, oh, a tapa, a cover.
Oh, no way. So he actually tapa, they covered the glass.
Right.
Okay. With serrano ham?
What was there? Was there? That is one story. And I found...
so is that why it's the size of the, small, the size of the glass?
Right.
Oh.
So, yeah, that's cover, literally meaning cover. The other story goes is that, centuries on, you move along in history, that another said king decreed that some little small bite had to be served with alcohol to absorb the alcohol so people wouldn't get too drunk.
Okay.
And a third version is in the Sevilla.
Yeah.
It was actually between the 16th, 17th century. It was prohibited to serve food and alcohol in the little inns.
Oh.
You were only allowed a little stove and you were allowed to serve bread. And the reason that the innkeepers could not serve food is that the men would go to the bars and get drunk.
And eat.
Well, they didn't eat. So the idea, the powers that ran the town thought, well, if there's no food, they have to go home to their wives because they will get hungry. But men figured, well, we don't need you to serve.
Food.
Yeah, we can just go next door or to the market, grab a piece of cheese, get a piece of ham, and they would bring it back to the little inn, said inn, and put it on the bread.
Crafty men.
So feel free to come at me and say none of these stories are true. What I will say
is folklore.
Is that it's folklore, and also it is more than just a bar snack. I believe from living here, it's a way of life.
It is. One thing that's always been fascinating to me about tapas is that, a lot of people have tapas before lunch.
Really?
Yeah. So they'll go out.
Okay, in Granada.
Not just in Granada. In a lot of places, they'll go out and they'll have a beer, a caña, or they have a glass of wine or a vermouth. Okay, we'll serve some this. We'll serve some that, in a little tapa. And I'm always like, how can you have lunch after all that,
Well, when we were in Granada, we stopped for a cheeky little vermouth before we met with the rest of our family, and they brought out meatballs, but substantial sized meatballs. And you think, this is 11:45 in the morning.
Yeah.
And but everybody had it. Everybody was eating something at that time. So it's very interesting. Now there's a difference between tapas and pinchos.
Yes. So which is your favorite pincho?
I would say I prefer tapas over pinchos.
I find pinchos quite heavy sometimes,
right?
Especially the ones that have like a fried croquette or a fried sausage, a fried, and then they kind of on the bread, and then it's a lot. So for me, it's like 3 pinchos sometime, and I'm done. Like I'm out.
You're full.
Yes. And the cool thing about the pinchos in a lot of places in the north, they have like an honor system where you'll show the amount of sticks that you've had at the end of the meal, and that's how they charge you.
Okay.
So in some places, they even do colors.
Oh,
like they did like different color sticks because not every pincho is the same price. If I have a prawn on one of them and I have
So explain though what pincho means versus what it actually means, the word.
Pincho literally means like a little stick.
Okay.
So it's like a little toothpick, un pincho. And that is basically what you use to pierce the food that is on the bread. Okay. So that's what a pincho means.
Right. Now I made a tray of my own version of tapas or what, I made what I like basically. So I did tuna, but because I like hot sauce, there is hot sauce underneath it. I really like spicy food, and I did pickled onions.
Nice.
And then I did tortilla.
And the pickled onions, you also put capers in there or?
No, those are, and I don't know, maybe this is a thing here. Those are green peppercorns.
Oh, yeah. Like the ones that you use for the sauce for the solomillo.
Right. But I have never seen green peppercorns anywhere except here. I don't know if it's a particular thing here or I can't find this in a grocery shop in Toronto for sure. And when you look at it, it looks like a caper, but it is not. It's very picante.
Yeah, it's strong.
It's very strong.
Like if you bite into one of those, it's going to be like an explosion of pepper in your mouth.
Yeah, but I love it. So I put it on the tuna. Then tortilla. And then I did cured salmon with some cream cheese.
Which you cured yourself.
I cured that myself.
Didn't fish it yourself.
No, I didn't, but I did cure it myself. So it's not smoked, it's cured. And then I did manchego with a little balsamic and some green olive tapenade.
Oh, nice. Green olive tapenade.
So perhaps those are not traditional, but I also think... they're bar snacks. They're basically drinking snacks.
I think the most traditional that you have on there is probably the tortilla one.
Yes.
That's like the ultimate, tapa is like a piece of tortilla and bread. Perfect almuerzo or mid-morning tapa. I will say that we could have pretty much turned any of those into a pincho by putting a stick in it.
Yeah. Now, I'm going to ask you this question, which we have not discussed this before. Mm-hmm. Why do you think this type of food is so important in this country?
Well, I think the reason is socially. You can have a couple tapas here, and then we can move on to the next bar, and then we can move on to the next bar, and then we can go and see, our aunt over here, and then we can go see our cousin over here. So it is a way that you're not, first of all, stuck in one place. Right. There's more movement to it. And I also think it's a way of life that you are having those while you have a couple of drinks, while you have a conversation. It's not like we have a full-on sit-down 3-course meal. So that's kind of why I believe it's so important. But I'm not sure if you have a different historical background.
Like, you know that I have, I'm a huge fan of Jose Andres. Mm-hmm. And this is from, I think, an interview he did with CNN. And this is a quote. He said, "Tapas is not food. It's a way of life. It's a way to enjoy family and friends." And he's so passionate about Spanish culture, the cuisine. I mean, he's literally built an empire throughout the world. I don't know. I think somebody asked him how many restaurants he has. He doesn't even remember. That because
makes sense.
He has so many, and he does such incredible work. But when you listen to him talk about something that is quite simple, I mean, these are not complicated foods. These are foods that people had. Yeah. Spain was not a rich country when these things came into sort of everyday life. It was just things. Now they are obviously fancy and, I don't know, you can, I'm sure, get very curated, expensive tapas, but that's not really where they originated or
You're right.
the story of it. It's something simple that you would have at a bar while you're having a drink.
Absolutely. And I think what's also cool about what Jose Andres said is that, from a family standpoint,
right,
I can prepare one particular kind of tapa, bring it along on a Sunday. Someone else prepares a different one. Like, for example, huevos rellenos, which is also another one that you'll see a lot, like, eggs,
right.
So it also is easy for us to collaborate and do something together instead of like, one person doing everything. Kind of like, I guess, Thanksgiving when someone brings, the stuffing, someone brings maybe the cake for the end or something. It's more of a collaborative effort.
But also it's very casual because you can sit and you can enjoy, I would think, a lot more food eating this way than if you would just sit down for a meal, because even though maybe it's a version of a potluck to bring to have at a house, the reality is that everybody's talking, everybody's having a drink, whether alcoholic or not. You're having snacks, it's readily available. It's not a formal where you have to put everything in the middle and sit down and start eating and then finish eating.
For sure. So maybe if you're doing your kid's birthday and, you want to try a little kind of Spanish spin on it, instead of doing sandwiches, you can look up some tapas and, prepare like a little tapas birthday or something like that. I will say that tapas, if you go to countries around the world, is probably one of the most recognizable food being served in Spanish restaurants around the world.
Right.
So, for example, I've seen tapas bars in Japan. I've seen tapas bars in Houston. I've seen tapas bars in Australia. So I will say that, and that's why we also call the episode Beyond Tapas, Spanish cuisine is obviously a lot deeper than tapas, but it's probably one of the most recognizable things, apart from paella, around the world, is you'll see these tapas restaurants that pop up.
Okay, so now we're moving on to these very special, I call them beans. They're beans, no? They're a legume.
Yes. So again, sticking with the snacks that you have with drinks, we have this altramuz. Do you want to try one?
Actually, I do. I haven't had one in a while.
So this altramuz, the Mediterranean version, is...
How do you open it?
So you have to kind of...
Oh, you have to bite it. Oh, okay.
Well...
Okay. Can I just eat it like that or no?
You should not eat the
outside
skin.
Okay.
I wouldn't recommend it.
Here, I got it out.
The altramuz, which the one from here is like Lupinus albus, is the Latin name, also called chocho, which again is a bit of a funky one because chocho also means lady parts, and I always found it absolutely hilarious when my uncle, when I was growing up, would call them chochos. I was like, ha, ha, ha. It's like the typical thing that, you're like, I was going to mention other examples, but I won't go into it. And these actually apparently come from Egypt. So they do come from, the huge Arabic influence that was in Spain for many years. And the reason that they were initially called chochos was because apparently in Mozarabic, it was like sauce.
Okay.
There was something to do with the saltiness or salted or brined.
Right.
And then people eventually kind of felt it was a little bit like not very refined to be calling them chochos. And that's when they started calling them altramuz, which is also an Arabic word. It comes from Arabic as well.
Oh, right. Any word that typically here starts with A-L.
Exactly.
Has an Arabic
word.
Al-Andalus.
Yeah. Yes. And on the other side of the world, from Quechua, they actually call them chuchus. So it's totally unrelated to continents. But what I find really fascinating about these as well, and I had no idea, they're considered a keto snack. They're super high protein.
Wow.
So they're very low carb, very high protein, and you can have a ton of them without, kind of adding to your carb count or whatever.
Right.
And also, this was very funny. I found that they're also called tarwees.
Tarwees. Yeah, we saw that when we were kind of doing research into...
But I think the tarwee one is the one
different.
That's from the Andes.
Oh,
that
okay.
is not this one. So this is not considered a tarwee, but the one that is across the Atlantic, that one's considered a tarwee. This is just a altramuz.
But we were actually discussing this, how that it was not native to Spain.
I don't think it is. I think this was brought in, again, because it is originally from Egypt. It's
Right.
where they came from. So I'm not sure what the connection is with the Andes and how these seeds ended up in different parts of the world. But they must have been brought in during the time that, again, there was a lot of Arabic history in Spain,
Right.
particularly in the south of Spain. And I do think I've seen these more consumed Valencian community, southern Spain, Andalusia, than I don't think I've seen like in San Sebastian people eating altramuzes,
Would
in
you
the
see it in
north of
Madrid?
Spain. I don't know, actually. I don't know.
I mean,
would have
I
to
think
check.
some of these things are a little bit maybe old fashioned,
Mm-hmm.
and you wouldn't. I mean, when we went for paella in Valencia and that little farm with, I can't remember the guy's name now.
Tony
yeah.
Tony Montoliu.
Tony, we had them there, and that was the first time that I had them. And you had to. I said, "Oh, what is this?" And you're like, "This is a really kind of like old fashioned, very traditional thing that you would have."
It's briny. That's why it's like
with a beer or, a little snack before a main meal, which I think is really interesting because, again, it is not an expensive thing. It's
very cheap.
It's not expensive to buy even in the grocery store.
Like way cheaper than olives, for example.
100%.
But with what I was going to also mention, that you, you said that, maybe like something different when we were in Tony Montoliu. I think it's something that also is it conserves for a long time.
Right.
So it's something that's very accessible, you could say.
And, it's interesting because when we were talking about it, I said, here in Spain, you have this. You have edamame, for example, in, Japan. And even in, the sort of like Indian side, West Indian, that type of food, you have chickpeas.
Yes.
That would be fried. So, and that would be considered some little basically a drinking snack. So it's interesting that when you start to look at these things, cultures really adopt small little bites all across the world. I mean, I don't know what they would eat in Italy. What would you eat in Italy?
I'm not entirely sure, but one thing I was going to mention to you, you know those saladitos that you like?
Yes.
The little quicos and all that?
Yeah.
I bet you have had altramuzes in those and you didn't realize it was, because they're in there.
Oh.
But they look totally different when they're like fried and like treated like that.
Right.
With the quicos and the peanuts.
Yes.
So you will have had these in there where they just look like a flat bean.
Oh.
It's these.
Okay, interesting. Yeah. Well, let's just call it now. That's going to be the next superfood.
Yeah.
Will be. It'll be the next superfood that's high in protein, very inexpensive, very filling, etc. And it will not sell for €1.50 for a jar.
Pistachios, move out of the way.
Yeah, it'll be 5 times the price because it will be the hot item.
Exactly. We coined it.
Okay, now we're moving on to, these are just things that interest us.
Yes.
But for example, we're talking about mayonnaise. Now, when I first moved here, I always thought that it was very strange. A lot of the little snacks, you would find anywhere, like in any cafeteria, any little taverna, they contain mayonnaise. So if it's Russian salad, for example, which is, even though it's called Russian salad,
we don't really know if it's Russian, but
no, but it's a very common Spanish thing. You find it in almost every single bar. It's mayonnaise. There's a lot of mayonnaise in it. And I always thought, this is very strange that I did not think that Spanish cuisine contained as much mayonnaise. So when I'd go to a restaurant, they would bring out always ketchup and mayonnaise. And I thought, oh my goodness, they really think have no culture because that's all I'm eating because I'm a foreigner. I need ketchup and mayonnaise on my food.
Where did you think mayonnaise was from before coming here?
French.
Okay. Yep.
I always thought it was because French cuisine tends to have like a lot of mayonnaise or emulsified sauces and that type of thing. So I always thought it was a French invention. So story goes that the French in the late 1700s had occupied the island in the Balearic region, Minorca. So you have Ibiza, Minorca, Mallorca, Formentera, Minorca, and the French had occupied it, and as a celebration, they want to have this celebratory dinner. The chef, who's French, did not have the ingredients to make this type of sauce and had to improvise. And that is how mayonnaise was born. Now, Jose Andres says that even though a French hand prepared it, it is Spanish because it was created technically in Spain. There's some debate as to if that's true or not. But food historians have said that they found recipes from, how do you call people from Menorca?
Menorquines.
Okay.
Menorquines. Please don't kill me. Yeah, Menorquines, I think.
That they have found very old recipes that locals had already used that type of sauce.
Yeah.
So interesting,
He claimed
or
it.
I don't know if it is necessarily true, but that's the story that is told about the invention of mayonnaise. So it's a very common ingredient in a lot of food here, snacks mostly.
So if you would have asked me before doing this research and everything where I thought mayonnaise was from, even though, again, I'm Spanish and I hadn't really, looked into the history of mayonnaise, I would have actually thought it was from Belgium.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, why?
Because I've been to Belgium a few times.
Right.
And I think I mentioned this to you at some point, but it was really crazy. I have never seen so many mayonnaise adverts in my life.
Oh.
Like every TV break has a mayonnaise advert, and Belgians, and I love people from Belgium. I work there all the time. I mean, mayonnaise galore, like in all the sandwiches or in a lot of the sandwiches, in like if you go to a proper restaurant, even a nice restaurant, mayonnaise is there. I think it's because this huge culture around fries.
Right.
Like French fries, which they think they're not French, they're Belgian. But anyway, so they actually use mayonnaise like way more than we do. So I actually thought it originated from there. And please, if you're Belgian and you're listening to this and you're watching this and you think it is and there's a different story, we'd love to hear it.
We 1,000%. I would love to hear alternate versions of these stories that we've researched, because it is interesting. Food tells the history of any country. It also tells the history of our world, really. Yeah. So I find these things particularly interesting. Okay, so we've covered the beans. We've talked about tapas. We've done a distinction between tapas and pinchos. We haven't said what your favorite tapas would be.
I would say my favorite tapa usually tends to have anything with an egg on it. I am a very egg-centric person. Yeah. And I love anything that has like a fried, so like the ones that have the little quail fried eggs. Oh, those are good. They're like little tiny ones with like some tomatoes. So I love that stuff. But I did want to talk about one thing, because we talked about mayonnaise, but one sauce that looks similar to mayonnaise,
alioli,
but is different to mayonnaise is alioli.
Okay.
And again, kind of blending the historical side into this as well.
Okay. Yeah, let's do a deep dive into it.
Alioli.
Because it is, again, is it Spanish?
Well, I don't think it is specifically Spanish, but there's a huge culture around alioli here. Like, again, it's one of the things that is served with paella as well, etc. So the interesting thing about alioli is that it is so basic. Like mayonnaise, for example, has eggs in it, right?
Right.
Alioli is olive oil and garlic and a pinch of salt. That is it.
Okay.
Like there's no more to it. And when we were doing the research for this episode and I was asking some of my family members and everything, some of these like stories that came up about what, people who are older would have said around making alioli totally blew my mind.
Wow.
Yes. Such as apparently, this was also, and I had to do some research into who is Pliny the Elder, but apparently had a lot to say about a lot of different things.
Okay.
So he had given a recommendation that like women on their period shouldn't go anywhere near someone making alioli because it would curdle. And by the way, the same thing, curdle, is that the right word?
Or basically you break the sauce so it separates. You can't, and once you separate it, it never comes back together.
Exactly. So I thought it was kind of mind-blowing because then looking into it, there's all these things that women apparently and historically weren't supposed to do. And I think it's a real kind of like sexist, from like the, let's say olden times when, you are dirty because, you have your period and unclean. Everything you touch is not going to taste good. And I just think it's incredible that it carried through for a long time.
Wow.
Like I would never hear that kind of thing now. now. But I
No.
know in my grandmother's generation, they would be like,
Probably.
hey, you're on your period. Don't come anywhere near the alioli because I've already been working on this for like 20 minutes.
Oh my goodness.
It's not working. And the last thing I need is for the alioli to curdle. I'm like, what? You know, it's yeah.
Wow. Now, I will say that I love alioli.
Yeah.
And when it's brought, if you go to a really kind of, traditional Spanish restaurant and they make it from scratch.
Which, by the way, we didn't attempt to make because...
No, it's just, well, to be honest, I think we would have attempted it. We just didn't have the proper mortar and pestle to do it in. And we didn't want to do it in a food processor.
Yes. Yeah.
But that's like one of my favorite things when they bring to the table. I love it. You can't, I mean, once you start, you can't stop eating it. It's impossible.
Just don't do it on a date.
Or the date. If you're on a date, you have to eat it together.
Yeah, unless one of you is a vampire and then you'll die. But that really, alioli is, I always laugh because my 11-year-old daughter loves alioli.
Oh.
And sometimes we sleep in the same bed. I'm like, I feel like this is just so overpowering because once you eat proper alioli, it's with you for the rest of the day.
Right. So, but I would say it's red flag if you're on a date and that person won't eat the alioli. Red flag.
Red flag because they want to kiss you,
Yeah.
or if it's a first date, maybe don't touch the alioli, maybe.
All right. Now there's another really kind of fun snack that's quite Spanish. I don't think you'd find this anywhere else actually in the world.
Which one?
Chanchulo.
Chanchullo, yeah. Yeah, so this one's the kind of no cook.
Okay.
You want to show up and you want to have a little bit of fun because even outside of this area, I think would be hard pressed. Okay, in Madrid, I've seen them do where they put the mussels on the fries, or it's not fries, sorry, chips or crisp. But I've never seen them do the chanchullo thing outside of this area of the Valencian community.
I saw Rosalia. She did. There's a video of her just making her own version of it, and she puts she basically puts the whole kitchen cupboard on it.
Yeah.
So we can find the video and source it. However, I did see it then, and then we started talking about it. We've never really had it anywhere that we've gone.
We'll make it today.
Okay.
We'll make it today, but it's basically crisp, mussels, and I am blanking. How do you say berberechos?
What is that?
Berberechos are those little weird,
Clams?
What's inside the clams, but they're little.
I don't.
They're like mini oysters. They look like mini oysters. Anyway, so you put those on there as well.
Yeah, it's like a clam.
Anchovies, pickled chilies,
Right.
guindillas, etc. And you just basically stick everything in there, move it so that everything gets the flavor of everything else, and then you have that with a beer, chanchullo.
You just put it on a plate.
Some people actually just leave it in the bag. So what they'll do is they'll break the bag through the middle.
Right.
They pour it in the bag and then they shake the bag.
Right.
And you usually use the bag as your container.
Oh, that's really cool. I actually did see a TikTok video, I guess because our phones do listen to us, with just the plain chips, crisps. And they said, perfect party idea for the summer. So all they did was they opened up basically like put it on a nice tray with some glasses of champagne, opened up all these little single serving, and they put stuff in it. And they're like, this is your perfect party. People just walk around with a bag and they just throw it out after for a snack.
I think what's funny is the name as well, chanchullo.
What does that mean?
Chanchullo means like something that you would do that's like not fully kosher.
Oh, really?
Like, something that you do like behind the scenes, like we have like a weird deal or something that's going on. It's a chanchullo. It's like, so I think it's like odd, and it is odd when you think of all these ingredients mixed in a bag. But anyway, so that's the chanchullo. And I know we have talked about this before, but something we definitely wanted to cover, and I know is a love of Nalini's.
The Hilda, which is actually from a movie with Rita Hayworth.
Mm-hmm.
Rita Hayworth from 1946. And the name of the movie was Gilda. And again, invented very organically with a few different, I guess, savory, spicy concoctions on the little stick. So the story goes, it was originally invented in the north in San Sebastian, which is a huge mecca, I would say, for pinchos.
Pinchos, yeah.
So, and they claim that that's where it was invented. So don't come for me with this one. And created in a bar because a regular would always come in and kind of stick these things on a little, toothpick, and it kind of evolved from there. And the movie at the time was popular. The character in the movie, she was a little salty, a little spicy. So they came up with this very clever name for it. And even though that's the original one, it is a guindia, anchovy.
Yeah.
And an olive.
And a boquerón, I think,
Okay.
right? Or no, I think the boquerón or the anchovy, one or the other came along later.
Right. So it's, and with the olive on your little pincho, and that's your lunch snack. And you would typically have it, I think, with a vermouth.
Yeah. They're so good.
Yeah.
I mean, I can have gillas all day long, so I love them.
Yeah, that is, that's a little story behind it. But what I think is really fascinating with all these stories, whether it's a pincho or it's a tapa or, decorated fancy chips, for example, there's this real long history behind it. And it comes from, I think, very humble beginnings. And it hasn't changed.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
It's not like, oh yeah, that was something that my grandfather ate or my grandma ate. Like we would never have it today. The same thing that was made in the 1940s, people are still eating it today and are obsessed with it, and they uphold the tradition. So I think that's something that's very unique here, that in this country, the traditions of food are upheld and they hold very, very tightly on to, we're not changing this recipe.
Yeah, I totally agree. Okay, so in terms of the gila, we'll actually try one for our slice of life.
Okay.
But you will see that you can get a little creative with them too.
Okay, I'm looking forward to that.
Slice of life.
Yay.
Ba-ba-ba-ba-bum. Slice of life.
Yay. So, first, what do you have on your plate, Laura?
I have a gila.
A traditional one. Yeah, delicious.
Yes. So this gila has Nalini's favorite little fish.
Actually, I have to say, listen, I'm an outsider here. Okay, so clearly. However, the anchovy, the boquerón, which is a white anchovy, or are anchovies just white?
I honestly don't know. I was like, please don't ask me this question. I don't know. But I do know this. I think it's the same fish, okay? I do think it's the same fish. But I will say that my grandma made the white ones growing up. I do know it just requires a whole lot of vinegar. So
right. So that's, the boquerón is the briny one.
Yes.
So it tastes more like it's been pickled.
It has been pickled, and I'm pretty sure they do, again, both the anchovy and the boquerón. The anchovy lasts longer because it is salted, etc. But the boquerón is also just to preserve, it's a way that you have an excess of these little fish.
It has a very long shelf life.
Exactly.
But I will say, I don't like how it looks, but it does not actually taste fishy.
One day, I'm going to make you a bocadillo with tortilla de patata, boquerones, and mayonnaise, which we have discussed in all three things in this episode, and you will change your mind about boquerones.
Oh, it's kind of like a fillet of fish.
Yeah, it is.
It's
like a Spanish version of a herring. You know, like in Holland, they serve you the herrings and stuff. It's kind of like a Spanish version of that.
And the anchovy is not fishy as well. It's just very salty. It's more umami.
Yeah.
That's like everything there is umami. Your mouth is alive with all types of different flavors. And once you have it, you realize that, oh, this is why people eat this when they're having a pre-lunch meal.
Yes, it's like almost your mouth waters when I'm thinking about it now. My mouth starts watering because it is like very, very salty.
Okay, should we try? You want to talk about our lovely wine on the table?
Sure. Which one of the bottles would you like to talk about?
Well, let's talk about the more interesting visually of the two, which is this Pirates of the Caribbean looking bottle.
Yes, it is definitely a Pirates of the Caribbean. So this is called submarine wine, literally. And it says 6 moons under the sea.
Wow.
So which is pretty cool.
Approximately 6 months.
Exactly. And the interesting thing is that this is from a 2-person artisan garage winery in La Nucia, very close to where we are. And in 2021, they started this production. And again, this specific bottle, 6 months, like you mentioned, no light, constant temperature, and it basically surfaces with a different taste than if it wouldn't have been under the water.
Right.
So they have a lot of like sommeliers and Michelin star chefs and restaurants that are basically fascinated by the taste of this wine, and it's become very popular. So usually they sell out, and we had the chance to see the winery, but our next little adventure with them will be going to see how they put it under the sea.
And what's really fascinating about these independent, whether it's a winemaker, olive production, anything, fashion, whatever it is, I find here, because they're so artisanal, they are really dedicated. They're not looking to have their business explode and go international. It's a very different mindset. They are really committed to the craft and sustainability, the quality of it. They call their little cellar a garage cellar.
Yeah.
I mean, it's in the industrial area, very close to where we live. I mean, next door, I think you have a garden shop, you have a, tire manufacturer cellar down the street. You would not expect that there's this little wine, company there. And they're just so passionate about this craft and putting out a fantastic product. So maybe it's not going to be the same price as a wine that you would, mass-produced wine from a grocery store. But what you're getting is their life story in a bottle, their passion in these bottles.
This particular bottle is about 90 euros.
Right.
And their other wines do go between, I think, 13 and 18, 19, 20 something.
Right.
We are going to save the bottle to open for a special occasion. However, I do think that, if you go on their website, which is the Celler Mar de Vins, we'll put it on the episode notes so people can find it.
Right.
I would really recommend, again, supporting people who are doing things that are a little bit different. And can you imagine getting this as a present if you're a wine lover?
If you're a wine lover.
Oh
or
my
just
God,
like something really different. And even the artwork, we haven't talked about this, but this artist, she's from Altea.
Yes.
So they have all the different bottles, and they each tell a story that is very local to the area.
Yes.
So I just think that's really special. It is not mass produced. It's actually the reverse of that. So when you support businesses such as Mar de Vin, it is their passion.
Yes, it's passion. It's things they enjoy doing. And at the same time, you can also, if you're in the area, for 25 euros, you can go and actually have a tasting there. So even though it's a little garage winery, it's still a very cool experience. So very much recommend it.
Yes. And you can also do the tour in English. So don't feel intimidated that you can't. You can do the tour in English. It's fantastic. It was a fantastic visit and a really interesting project. So we're really happy that we met them.
Absolutely. So now we're getting to our slice of life ending. And the ending of this episode, we couldn't be happier that you all are joining us on this journey. We are going to be reading in some of the episodes emails from our listeners. We love hearing from you. So if you're not already following, please subscribe, follow along, follow us on socials, where we are very much growing the Made in Spain community, and really appreciate the community that is being built around this podcast and about these experiences. With that, we're going to go to the saying of the day.
Okay.
And I know Nalini's been working very hard on her Spanish. I'm extremely proud of her accent. If you didn't see the reel that was on Instagram about how beautifully she says paella, I think it's like, artistic, almost paella. So
because Laura taught me how not to say it. That's why.
Paella. Okay. So the saying of the day today is, donde comen dos, comen tres.
I'm going to thank my Spanish tutor for this. Why eat 2 when you can eat 3?
Actually,
what is it?
Where 2 can eat, 3 can eat.
Okay, close.
Close.
He's going to give me half a mark for that.
Donde comen dos, comen tres. Meaning that, and again, going back to your tapas story before, where there's enough for 2, there's enough for 3.
That's so perfect.
Just like come along,
Yes.
eat a tapa. We can make some
Yes.
more. This is a kind of very much a social experience when it comes to
I
getting
love
together
that
to eat.
one. I love that one.
Awesome. Thank you very much for being with us today.
Yeah, thank you. Bye for now.
Bye.